What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another one of my videos. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I hope everyone is safe. And in today's topic, we are going to talk about just my ways and the ways that I found worked for me in terms of working your way up in terms of style. So yeah, sit tight and let's jump right into the video. So first and foremost, for the longest time, I really was not dressing in designer clothes. I think through sort of like my teens, like when I was still in school, it was still very much so Zara, Forever 21, H&M, just brands where I could afford, of course, while I was working and while I was being like, whether it's like end of high school, beginning of university. And for me, I feel like that really helped me in terms of sort of like finding out what works for me and what doesn't work for me. With some of these stores, obviously the price is a lot lower and it's fast fashion retail. So you can definitely afford to buy certain pieces. And if it doesn't end up working out, it won't be too much of a loss. Some of the things that I honestly felt like were really good was just like implementing as many basics as possible within my wardrobe. I would say that was one of my main things that I started doing. So what I would do is I had a lot of t-shirts, sort of like some of the things, for example, that Feeling Pieces sent me. Like you see this t-shirt here, it's got really broad shoulders, like it's a well-cut t-shirt. It's got a nice color, and sort of what I would do with some of these things would be to just sort of it's a basic t-shirt. So what I would do is just like throw in a pair of jeans, throw in a pair of derbies like I did here, and just try to do like light layers. So I would like, as you see here, I would have like sort of like a gilet on, or maybe like a jacket, and maybe like I could have even added like a crossbody bag if I wanted to, but here I went with a tote bag. So one of the key things that for me I felt like worked was just like basics. Things like this honestly are a great way to start, in my opinion, when sort of building a certain style. Like basics, I feel like are one of probably the most important things. So like t-shirts, and for me it's like, even here it's a bit more of a colorful t-shirt. Back in the days I would sort of start with a white tee, a black tee, throw in a pair of like blue denim jeans like I did here, and just a pair of shoes, whether it's like a derby, it doesn't even have to be like a chunky derby like I did here, just a simple derby. And then I would sort of kind of work my way from there. Second thing will be the bottom. So now in most cases, I do tend to start with trousers. I think trousers and jeans are probably the first things that I do now in terms of, if I'm picking an outfit, this is the first thing that I do. And now trousers for me, they're what I feel like look good on me. And then from there, I would sort of pick a pair of boots. And one of the things that I would honestly like to stress too, as I was sort of like building my way into like how I dressed, I didn't take that many risks at first, right? So I'll pick a pair of trousers, and let's say if I pair it with a really good pair of boots or like a really good pair of derbies that I feel like goes really well, I would probably wear that for the rest of the week and just change like tops, or maybe add layers like a nice jacket. And then I'll sort of play with those two pieces for like a little while, just to sort of understand, I feel like, again, something that's very important: proportions. Proportions was actually something that took me a while to sort of really start understanding, because what would happen is, sometimes you can kind of be really inspired by someone's style or someone's choice of like, the way they picked out stuff, and you're like, oh man, I love those boots and the way they look on this person, I wonder if I could pull them off. And then you kind of try it and it doesn't necessarily work for you, and you sort of start forcing it a bit. And to be quite honest, I do see that here and there. Obviously at the end of the day, wear whatever you feel comfortable in and whatever you feel like looks good on you. Highly advocate that. But for me, it's just one thing that I started really understanding was that like there are certain things that I can be inspired by, but won't necessarily work for me. And I think that that's the sort of beauty of style sometimes. It's just like how certain people will be able to pull off an outfit that you really admire, that you really like, and you're sort of like, man, I wonder if I could pull that off. And you can try it in your way and it doesn't work. Again, it's sort of that understanding of proportions and how things could potentially look good on someone and not necessarily look good on you, even though you like that specific style. So I think in that case, what's really worked for me is figuring out a way to be inspired by that and try to recreate something that would suit my own proportions and my own personal style. Again, it just sort of goes back to how it's important to sort of work your way up, because what happens is, when you get inspired and you're still able to not necessarily be so keen on shopping high-end and designer clothes and just like be like, maybe go thrifting or maybe go to like your fast fashion retailers, which by the way, now their prices are pretty high, a lot of the times. And you're like, let me pick a couple pieces out, instead of buying that one specific designer piece that might not even end up being something that I consistently wear, or I might not even like it after a couple wears. So rather go pick something from a thrift store or like fast fashion retailers and try it on, try to recreate that sort of style that you admire so much, and try to recreate it in your own way, so that even if it doesn't work out, you wouldn't have spent a lot of money, and again, and also for me, what's kind of worked back then was that really did allow me to sort of find sort of my own style, because yes, I'll buy certain things here and there, like instead of like now I mostly buy just one piece or two pieces, but before, I'll buy 5-6 items and I'll play around with those things. And to be quite honest, some of it wouldn't work, some of it would work. But then what started surprising me was that a couple months later, I could be like, oh, I remember I bought this pair of jeans. If you're still in that sort of like phase where you're trying to find what works for you and what doesn't work for you, in my personal opinion, I feel like there shouldn't really be a need to focus so much on buying the latest like Balenciaga. I think what's important is sort of first finding that a style that works for you, and you can find that through just buying, in a way, cheaper clothes, to be honest, and just sort of focusing on building your style first before focusing on building a nice wardrobe, if that makes sense. Again, when it comes to simplicity, for example, you look at this like filling pieces shirt that I got, and it's colorful, but it's white. And in a way that I would keep it simple would be to sort of pair with a pair of like white trousers, throw in some black derbies, a hat maybe just to elevate the look a little bit, and I could have thrown on a slight like crossover bag if I wanted to, but I kind of wanted to keep it even simpler, so threw in a tank underneath. Now, one of the things that I noticed that really works well for me is sort of incorporating those little like details, like a tank underneath a shirt like I did here, as you can see with the filling pieces shirt, the Studio Nicholson trousers, and the derbies, right? So it's something very simple. It's a simple look. It's not too try hard, but it still looks clean. It still looks good. It's something that you can sort of wear in the spring and the summer, and if I wanted, to finish it off, I could throw on, a bomber jacket, for example, like I did in this video, and you see like the outfit just comes together like super well and super clean. And this is something, in my opinion, that anybody can do. It's by adding jewelry and by adding the rings, by adding the bomber jacket, the hat, all of that plays into creating a perfect outfit that you feel like you could wear at any sort of event or anywhere. I think for me, one of the things that I understood quite early on was that I didn't want to try too hard. I kind of wanted to just first keep it simple. Again, it goes back to the black tees, to the white tees. When I was buying jackets, I was buying things like, like a nice leather jacket that fits me and that fits my proportion and my body type, a good pair of trousers. And I was kind of working my way around that for like, a couple of months, to be quite honest. And then I kind of started introducing things like hats, jewelry. I didn't even really start wearing rings until it's been quite a while now, but I didn't start including rings until like much later on. If you're patient with your style, I feel like you just start discovering what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Of course today, like because we're so consumed by social media and by Instagram, it's so hard for anybody, like even for me sometimes, to build patience, to keep developing some form of authenticity within your style, and just really pushing yourself to dress in the way that you want to dress, and in the way that you feel like you look the best, right? So with working your style up, I really do believe that, you know, it has to start from a place of honesty, you know, like just like, I really love dressing and I'm going to find what works best for me. Alright guys, so that will conclude today's video. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on my social media at GREGNTORE. That's my Instagram, where I post outfit pictures. So yeah man, thank you all so much. Until next time, peace out.